Hello, good afternoon, good morning, everyone joining us this day. I believe that we are good to go. I can see that the attendance is quite nice. And in the interest of time, because our session today will be short and sweet, so it's just 45 minutes. We will present high level but also practical information on the topic of empowering communities through carbon credits and biodiversity projects in Africa. And this webinar is organized by BioCarbon Standard in collaboration with EcoSecurities, particularly the team based out of Africa. So just to define the purpose of today's webinar, we aim to provide valuable insights into how environmental finance can specifically through carbon finance and biodiversity credits can drive sustainable development. By leveraging these financial mechanisms, communities, governments, and NGOs can benefit from climate resilient livelihoods while contributing to global carbon reduction and biodiversity conservation. So this webinar will delve into best practices for designing and implementing carbon offset projects, not only to mitigate climate change, but also to enhance biodiversity while ensuring holistic approach to environmental sustainability. So I am going to very quickly introduce our panelists for today. And then from there, I am going to give you a short agenda for the session so that we can get our minds ready. So as I mentioned, this webinar is organized by BioCarbon Standard in collaboration with EcoSecurities. And from BioCarbon, we have Paroma Saria, who is an economist with a lot of experience in carbon markets. She has also good experience in renewable energy and other clean technologies. She currently holds the role of Business Development Manager at BioCarbon, and she engages with governments, private sector, and other organizations to explore opportunities for biocarbon and add value to climate change mitigation and adaptation projects. Together with her colleague, Kabaka Mutensa, who is based out of Uganda, who currently serves as the Operations and Engagement Officer for Africa at BioCarbon. In his role, he manages BioCarbon operations across Africa, working closely with the greenhouse gas project developers and government to support their carbon market and biodiversity ambitions. From the side of EcoSecurities, we have Mr. Moses Tembo, based out of Zambia office, and he is currently the head of technical services from EcoSecurities, and he leads project management and all technical aspects for carbon projects. And myself, who will be moderating the session, I'm Joseph Wabogo, Senior Commercial Associate for EcoSecurities, based in Nairobi. And my work at EcoSecurities is to support in project origination, due diligence, and partnerships. So without far much ado, I will just let you know how the project, the session of today will flow. So we will have a short presentation from EcoSecurities and a longer presentation from the BioCarbon Standard. And then from there, we will jump into questions and answers. So please feel engaged, post your questions through the platform that you are following us from. We are live from LinkedIn, as well as YouTube, and also from this webinar platform. So I will pass the mic directly to Paloma, so that to Moses Tembo, sorry, so that he can give us the presentation about EcoSecurities and the type of projects that we are developing in Africa that are related to carbon credits and biodiversity. So Moses, over to you.
Thank you very much. In Lusaka, Zambia. So I'm the technical manager for EcoSecurities. and my focus is on leading EcoSecurities work on the technical side of projects. So let me just take you through a brief presentation on EcoSecurities. So EcoSecurities is an impact-driven provider of various environmental services, and we've got roughly 30 years of experience in the carbon markets and projects globally. So we've got presence in Africa, we've got presence in Europe, Australia, the Americas. So we offer expertise as well as tailored partnerships when it comes to sourcing, as well as developing and financing climate mitigation projects, as well as projects which are aimed at biodiversity conservation. As you may be aware, our continent, Africa, faces a major challenge when it comes to climate change. So the onus is on us to help protect the environment. So we work with within various sectors. So there's the nature-based solutions such as restoration projects. Then we also work on community-based programs, which are aimed at ensuring that communities fully participate in the mitigation of climate change, as well as they benefit from carbon credits, as well as climate finance. The other sector that we work in is renewable energy interventions. Examples include access to renewable electricity, solar pumping, as well as home systems. So in terms of presence, like I indicated, we have a major global presence. So we are present across all the major continents in the world. Then specifically in Africa, we've got a number of projects in Zambia, we've got projects in Kenya, we've got projects in Egypt, we also got projects in Sierra Leone, as well as other West African states. So the key sectors that we've got expertise and where we've provided a number of services include nature, such as agricultural carbon and forestry, restoration activities. Then we're also into energy, heavy industry, such as nitrous oxide abatement. We've had a number of projects in South Africa that are aimed at that. Then we're also involved in waste management projects, e-mobility, as well as tech-based solutions. So in terms of the different types of solutions that we have in Africa, we do provide climate advisory services where we engage with governments as well as the private sector in terms of developing, for instance, strategies that are aimed at mitigating climate change. Apart from that, we are also involved in assisting governments develop policies towards readiness for Article 6 implementation by the UNFCCC. Then we also have various projects within the climate space across the globe. So when it comes to our capabilities as an organization, we have expertise in various sectors. And one of the key aspects I think which we are good at is the identification of projects, of which this relates to project screening as well as origination, which is aimed at selecting projects which have an impact at different levels, including the community, at sub-national levels, as well as at the government level. Then we're also involved into the design of various projects. So we work with different private sector players and assist them in the designing as well as development of projects which have high impact. We also provide advisory services, like I indicated, and the development of various projects. Then one other aspect which we're also involved in is the commercialization of carbon credits, because we do know that there are a number of carbon projects which have been developed, but for them to make a lot of sense for the communities, there's need to commercialize them so that communities can have access to the climate finance. So just in a nutshell, from the time that we were from inception, we have managed to mobilize roughly 1 billion of climate finance, which has resulted in over 400 million carbon offsets which have been generated. And we've got projects in 45 countries globally. And this has resulted in 700 emission reduction projects which we have developed. So this is just a schematic which shows the different types of services that we offer of the carbon project development cycle, from feasibility all the way up to the commercialization of credits, including in-between processes such as the registration and issuance of carbon credits. So this is just our Africa team. So we have got our CEO, Pablo, and the rest of the team, of which I think some of us are in this webinar. And these are basically some of our clients and partners that we've worked with. So there's Hattree, there's EDF, NG, FAO, and a number of other clients that we've not listed here. So this is where I end with my presentation. Thank you very much. Over to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Moses, for that presentation. And I think, yeah, that gives a great overview about EcoSecurities and the work of carbon development that we are doing across Africa. And now I invite Paloma and Kabaka to share your presentation in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning from my side. Good afternoon to many others. My name is Paloma Sarria, and I'm Business Development Manager at BioCarbon Standard. Today, I'm going to be presenting together with Kabaka on our role as a standard in empowering local communities through carbon and biodiversity projects in Africa. I would first like to start with a short introduction of the importance of this topic to us. I particularly think that this is it's a beautiful topic, community empowerment. For us in BioCarbon, it's a crucial topic. Local communities and indigenous peoples are the heart and soul of the projects we certify in nature-based solutions. They are crucial stakeholders, and they are the guardians and the stewards of nature. They are the ones who administer the nature and the natural resources in their territories. Who best them to know how to do this, no? And we really, from that point of view, we ensure actually that project holders recognize the capacity of indigenous peoples and local communities in biodiversity conservation, and also in managing ecosystems, assets, and services. And also, it is critical for us that project holders recognize that local communities and indigenous peoples are key for the success and project permanence. So I just wanted to share that, and it's really exciting for me to be here today and with Kabaka too, and with EcoSecurities to talk on this topic. Okay, on the next slide, I would like to give a short introduction to BioCarbon. Sorry, can you go back, Kabaka? Yeah, sorry. Today we will be sharing the presentation with Kabaka, so he will be helping me with the slides. So regarding our program, well, BioCarbon is a standard that certifies and registers projects in carbon and biodiversity credit markets. We certify activities that contribute, of course, to sustainable development, preserving the environment, and improving the quality of life of local communities. In our greenhouse gas program, we not only look at we're not only ensure that projects comply with climate change mitigations, but projects must also show that they contribute to climate change adaptation and that they contribute to sustainable development goals as a requirement. We are in different sectors. with our GHG program, we are in sectors such as nature-based solutions, energy with projects in renewable energy and energy efficiency, for example, sustainable transportation and waste management. In nature-based solutions, I would like to highlight that we have a very strong expertise and presence. We've developed various methodologies on what we call strategic ecosystems, such as restoration and preservation of wetlands, peatlands in high mountain ecosystems and others, mangroves, natural savannas, and also in other areas such as REDD+, ARR, and soil organic carbon. And in the other sectors, we also have an important presence that we're trying to expand more as well. We also have a biodiversity program that we launched, I believe, 2 years ago, and we recently launched the new standard and methodology for our biodiversity program. This program basically promotes initiatives that conserve biodiversity through preservation, restoration, and sustainable use of ecosystems activities. And last but not least, we are, as I mentioned, we're an international program, and we are currently recognized by ICROA. The next one, please. So regarding our projects, we also have a very important global presence. We have projects in more than 10 countries. As you can see on the map to your left, we have projects registered and listed in Latin America in countries such as Colombia, Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, Peru, Mexico, Panama, and also the US. We also have projects currently under validation under development in countries such as Kenya. And also we have projects in Turkey, Serbia, and in Asia, in India, and in Malaysia. And our goal is to keep expanding to more markets and sectors where we can contribute with our added value. We are accepted in both voluntary and compliance markets. In terms of compliance markets, we are accepted by countries such as Colombia for the local carbon offset program, Chile, Ecuador, and we will keep working hard to get into other compliance markets as well. In terms of projects in our registry, we have 40 projects registered. We have 37 projects listed, and in terms of transactions, out of the projects that have been registered, as you can see in the slide, 58.4 million credits, verified carbon credits, have already been issued, and 39 million verified carbon credits have already been retired. I would just also like to add that our biodiversity conservation initiative, which Kabaka will explain later, is located in Mexico, and it will soon issue credits for the sale of those. Also important to mention the diversification of the sectors. As I mentioned before, we are in these 4 different sectors: nature-based solutions, renewable energy, transportation, and waste treatment. I would like to highlight something that is interesting that has to do with the topic of this webinar today. That of the projects that we have in the REDD+ sector, we have approximately 16 projects registered in the REDD+ sector. 11 of those projects have local communities and indigenous peoples as project holders. That is 70% for us, and this shows how important for us is to promote and incentivize the leadership and, of course, active participation of local communities and indigenous peoples in the projects that we certify. So I just wanted to mention that. I think that's a really important point to show. And also regarding also our registry, important to mention that we are integrated with a blockchain technology. This is to ensure the maximum security, transparency, and traceability of the carbon credits, both carbon credits and biodiversity credits that we issue and will issue. And also important to highlight that we are integrated with different marketplaces, such as Carbon Trade Exchange, Soon Carbon Place, Tallow, for the sale of carbon credits. And we are also integrated. We have other market alliances with companies, with data aggregators, and also carbon credit rating companies. This is very important for us in the spirit of transparency of the transactions that go on in our platform, and also the visibility that these projects are worth of showing to the global market, and to facilitate the visibility, transparency, and also commercialization of these carbon credits and biodiversity credits. This is, I think, good for now on this slide. Next one, please, Kabaka. In this slide, I'd just like to highlight some of the strengths that we have as a global carbon and biodiversity standard. We work with very efficient timelines and have competitive tariffs. We the times that we control for reviewing and approving project carbon credit and biodiversity and biocredits registration and issuance are very efficient and fast, and we comply with those timings. On average, we can take between 1 to 2 months to approve those reviews. Also, another strength is that we have social. We really ensure that projects don't have a negative impact in the local communities and indigenous populations and on the environment. We have social and environmental safeguards with which project holders must comply with. Kabaka will explain a little bit more later, but we really put an emphasis on this. And also it's important for us, as I mentioned before, that communities and indigenous peoples not only have an active participation, but also leadership in those projects. And as I showed, we have various projects registered where the communities and indigenous peoples are the project holders. We also, of course, have compliant processes for public consultation. We have different types of public consultation. Kabaka will explain a little bit more later, but we project holders must guarantee the right of stakeholders to consultation processes and active participation processes in the design and implementation of projects. All projects must conduct a stakeholder consultation process and attend the questions, comments, issues that may arise from those. Also, all projects that seek registration go through a public, local, and global consultation process, and then we review those comments and attend those comments. And we have, of course, channels for open channels for claims and claim resolutions from stakeholders involved in projects and any other stakeholder that deals with the work we do. And we those are transparent, are completely impartial. They're secure, they respect confidentiality, and they're open for any of this type of claims that may come up. We, of course, also work with rigor and are very strict. And in terms of the methodologies we develop and approve, we have robust methodologies in strategic ecosystems that have a vast applicability. They can be applied in any country, and they're really based on the factors of rigor, managing uncertainty, conservativeness, and other important factors that contribute to the seriousness of this business. Also, we of course work with independent third-party companies for the audits of the project, validation and verification. We have a technical review, a team that reviews all projects and methodologies that will be approved. Well, I already mentioned this, but again, our registry is integrated with blockchain to guarantee the maximum security of credits and traceability. And in addition to the tools that Kabaka will explain regarding sustainable development goals, safeguards, social environmental safeguards, and REDD+ safeguards, we also have other tools that project holders can use to guarantee compliance with critical components such as additionality, permanence, and no double counting. So yeah, this is some of the strengths of our standard. And with that, I'd like to pass it on to Kabaka. He will talk more about the topic today, community empowerment, and how we can achieve it through carbon and biodiversity in Africa. Thank you, Kabaka. And thank you all. You are on mute.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paroma, for that introduction. So I'll pick it from here. My name is, as Joseph had introduced me, I'm Kawaka Mutesa, and I'm the Operations and Engagement Officer by BioCarbon Standard. And one of my roles is to support the greenhouse gas project developers and governments in realizing the ambitions of carbon and biodiversity initiatives. One of the this quote is from the BCR standard, which is an emphasis in supporting the indigenous peoples and the local communities. Says the indigenous peoples and local communities are crucial stakeholders and important administrators of nature and natural resources. This means they are key custodians of the nature and the natural resources. So their involvement is critical to the success of these projects. And how does BioCarbon Standard work to empower these communities? We have different tools, different safeguards, different processes that are aligned to support these communities. The first is the compliance with the local and international law, aligned with local communities and indigenous people's rights. So the project holder must demonstrate that the project is compliant with the local and international laws. This could be on the country-based and on as well as the international levels. There are different sectors, different considerations, looking at the communities, looking at the environment and the social aspect of these communities. And then community participation in project design and implementation. BioCarbon ensures that the project holder must demonstrate that the community participates in the project. If they are part of the project participants, they must participate in the project design and implementation. This must provide the evidence, including the arguments, and also you must, as a project developer, you must explain to the communities, to the languages they understand, because most of these communities, they have their local languages, local ways of living, which you must respect. Looking at also monitoring of the community participation in the project. So it must be from the start of the project. When you're designing the project, you must keep monitoring through the community leaders, through also the national legislation, to ensure that there is full participation of the communities in these projects, especially if they are project participants. Then on the local governance and decision making, most of all the communities, they must have local leaders where all the communication goes through to reach all the communities, all the community members. So there must be a fair and transparent decision-making process, so that no one is left behind during the project design and implementation. And then on the benefit sharing, as a standard, ensure that there is fair and transparent benefit sharing of the carbon credit returns and also the advantages that comes with the project implementation. So there must be equal share and equal and transparent share of these carbon credit returns. And then the stakeholder consultations and rights to FPIC, which is I mean the implementation of this, looking at the indigenous peoples and the local communities. So FPIC is free, prior, and informed consent of the community members. So from the first start, they must be informed of the project from the start, so that they follow and are consulted to give their active participation and benefit from the project. The capacity building and training the communities, as a standard, we provide there are different models to capacity building and training. Conducting webinars is one of them, and also reaching out to different project developers, provide them with the necessary guidance and the documentation, so that this is transferred to the communities, so that it benefits all the community members. And lastly, on the grievance mechanism, as a standard, we have a grievance mechanism where, in case one has a complaint or anything they want to inform about the standard, they can do that. We have all this on our website, which can be obtained there. And on the tools, there are different tools and safeguards that guide BioCarbon Standard and also the project developers. One is the Sustainable Development Safeguards. This is on the Sustainable Development Safeguards, looking at, there are different, in the implementation of projects, there are different risks that may be foreseen to the project. So this safeguards provides the guidance on which where the project developer must provide the details of the risks that they foresee and the mechanism to mitigate these risks. So this tool will give you all this guidance, and it must be adhered to. For the Sustainable Development Goals, it's a mandate of the countries to comply with the SDGs. So these projects contribute a lot to the Sustainable Development Goals. So every project that is implemented in the communities, it must demonstrate which SDGs they're addressing. As I will show you at the later stage, the different case studies, they are different. Each project has its own SDGs they address. Out of the 17 SDGs, it depends. Some can address 5, some can address 10. No poverty, climate action, different SDGs. So it's important that the project demonstrates which SDGs they're addressing. And then on the RED Plus safeguards, in the implementation of the projects, we usually look at the benefits of the communities. But on top of that, there are different risks that may come in the implementation. So these RED Plus safeguards, would call them also Capun safeguards. They were enacted in 2010 at COP16 in Mexico. So there are 7 of them which must be clearly explained to the communities, so that they adhere to all these safeguards, including gender equality, ecosystem protection, and all that. And then on the side of the co-benefits, at BioCarbon, it's not just about the carbon credits from the projects, but also the benefits, all the actions that related to the climate change mitigation that bring additional benefits. So it's not only just about the carbon credits, but also the benefits that come to these communities where the projects are being implemented. And these are categorized in 3. The biodiversity, where the project must demonstrate that they develop practical actions and measures where they have to halt the biodiversity loss. It could be through sustainable farming practices and also protection of nature and various ecosystems. And then on the community benefits, this focuses on improving the quality of life of the communities. So the project must improve the quality of life of the communities. And then for gender equality, these are activities or strategies or actions that support the goals of SDG 5, which is achieving the gender and empowerment of women and girls. So the project must must demonstrate that they observe the gender equality and there is active participation of everyone in the community. So BioCarbon ensures that the monitoring plan includes a section on the benefits that provides for the measurement and the tracking of these co-benefits. So in the monitoring plan that you provide to BioCarbon, you must demonstrate that there is a measure and tracking of these co-benefits to the communities. On the part of the case studies, yeah, we have some of the case studies that are purely community-led projects. And this is one of them, Red Plus project, Embera Munani. It's the 41 communities. So this I would relate it to the kingdoms there are some kingdoms across Africa. So I would relate this to this project, where all these communities, 41 communities, through their leader, they develop their project, Red Plus project, so that they can benefit from the carbon market scheme. So it's over, the size is over 300,000 hectares of land. And in these, there are different ecosystems, various plant and animal species. And then there is also community participation, as you can see on the photos. And then there are different activities for restoration and also reforestation activities, which are available for all these community members to participate in and protect their ecosystems. And then its crediting period is from 2018 to 2048. These are over 30 years, and they are looking at annual tons of CO2 that are removed from or reduced from the environment, over 2 million tons of CO2, and then the total tons of CO2 over 71 million. So all this, by the end of the crediting period, this comes, from the sale of these carbon credits and coming back to the communities, they will have a bigger impact on the communities for the betterment of this community. And then also another interesting project is on the natural savannas. So BioCarbon has a methodology on the natural savannas. It's very interesting and applicable to many places, including Africa. There are so many places where this methodology can be applied. And it's from Colombia, and there also the crediting period is for 10 years. And they are looking at having the annual tons of CO2 removed equivalent to 159,000. This is annual, and the size of the area is over 18 million hectares. So there are many different activities that take place in this area, including agricultural and livestock activities. There are many plant and animal species, and there is also transparent and active participation of all the members in these communities. And on the SDGs, you can see it's addressing SDG 6, 13, and also 15, which is life on land, climate action, and clean water. Then on the biodiversity initiative, this is in Mexico. This is our pilot biodiversity initiative, which is over 200 hectares of land, and it's in Mexico. So there are different benefits. This is there are so many different species in this area. There are animals, flora and fauna in this area, and their advantages, the communities in this area, in this and around the area. They promote, including promotion of research projects that enhance the understanding of biodiversity and ecological processes, which also help in supporting and understanding of these processes by the communities. And then also on the implementation action within the nature-based solution project, this example could be on the sustainable farming practices, and also reforestation on the areas where there is forest degradation. And then on the actions, they're advocating for sustainable agriculture practices through agroforestry, and then through the research projects, they are promoting environmental education to the communities around. And then also the applied nature-based solution as a key tool in the climate action and the biodiversity conservation efforts. And lastly, we have projects in the pipeline. I will give one example. This is in Congo. It's over 300,000 hectares. And this project is fully managed by the local communities through their community leaders, fully. So they don't have any external support. That it's in Yakoma district, which is in the western part, northwestern part of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. And in this, they are looking at the conservation of Congo Basin natural forests, and also the communities are fully involved in the project development and also its design. So in this, there are different, because there are different various plants and animal species in this area, and they are looking forward to have carbon credits issued, which later they will have carbon finance coming in to support, to provide the basic services, and also to positively impact their communities. So thank you very much for listening to us. And yeah, over to you, Joseph.
All right. Thank you very much, Paloma, Kabaka, and Moses, for the awesome presentations. I think they have really shed a lot of light on how, projects can sign up for carbon as well as for biodiversity. I understand that we don't have so much time, but in the interest of the questions that have already been shared, I am going to ask a few questions to our panelists, and then the rest of the questions, probably we could answer them offline and share to all participants in sometime later. But also we are going to share our emails towards the end of this session, so that you can reach out to us directly if you have further clarification that you may need out of this presentation. So the question that I'm going to ask first will go to Paloma, because from the many years of experience you have had developing carbon and biodiversity, what experience do you have in combining these two aspects that could lead to enhanced climate financing for offset projects?
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Joseph, for that question. Okay, I'd like to answer it in 3 different parts. So basically, in terms of combining carbon credits and bio credits, that is not possible. I mean, here, and I explain why. We are committed in BioCarbon to ensure that our standards contribute both directly and indirectly to carbon mitigation and reduction, as well, of course, to the conservation of ecosystems and biodiversity, which are called bio credits. But in order to prevent the risks associated to double counting, as there are some components in bio credits that can have that can generate or have some impact in carbon reduction or removals. But in order to mitigate the risk of double counting, it is essential that projects or carbon projects and bio credit projects maintain independent geographic boundaries, but they can be situated in the same area. So you can have in the same area a bio credit project and a carbon credit project that are one next to the other. They complement each other, but they cannot be overlapped. That's in terms of carbon credits and bio credits or biodiversity credits. But of course, we have carbon projects that have biodiversity conservation components. As I mentioned in the beginning, all of the projects that we certify and register must include climate change adaptation actions. And some of these include, for example, improving conditions for the conservation of biodiversity in its ecosystems in the area of influence, but also outside the project boundary. So that's one way of also integrating both. Also, in terms of safeguards, projects must demonstrate that their initiatives don't have negative impacts, as we mentioned, on communities and environments, and addressing potential risks. And one of those has to do with biodiversity and ecosystems. And finally, lastly but not least, project holders, as Kabaka mentioned, may demonstrate voluntarily the additional benefits or co-benefits of their projects. And some of these include biodiversity conservation. So for example, one of these could be that the project developer demonstrates that the project area is in areas where there are globally threatened species, according to the UICN Red List, and that the project is doing, the carbon project is doing activities that help conserve this species. So that's another way of integrating both. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paloma, for that exhaustive answer to the question of our follower. So I'm not sure if Moses is back, but as we wait for him to join back, I will direct this next question to, yeah, I see Moses is back already. And in the question of carbon and biodiversity and how the two can form a strong nexus, I was wanting to ask Moses this question. Out of the many projects that exist in the land-based sector or forestry, what experience does EcoSecurity have in Africa in developing such projects? Moses, and maybe as you answer that question, maybe you can combine the type of projects that are more preferred, I would say, for biodiversity credits, and what are the due diligence, in addition maybe to what BioCarbon Standard have already mentioned, what are the due diligence that project developers follow to ensure that all protocols are followed? So I'm not sure if Moses is back, but I can see he's on and off. But as we wait for him to come back, maybe I can direct my question to Kabaka. And one thing I wanted really to have clarity, and this is a question also coming in from our viewers. We have so many projects, as I have mentioned, in the land-based and agriculture sector and the blue economy. Which among these projects are more, work well with biodiversity credits? Because we know historically in Africa we have a lot of focus more on carbon credits, without combining them with biodiversity credits. And as you answer that question, I wanted also you to clarify the main difference between a standard organization like BioCarbon and a project developer like EcoSecurities, so that people can understand, the partnership of this webinar and the whole intention. Because I know things of carbon markets sometimes can get a bit confusing, and people might not be able really to differentiate the role of a standard organization or a registry like BioCarbon and a developer like EcoSecurities, as you also answer the question on the type of projects that work well with biodiversity credits.
Thank you, Joseph. I will start with the projects that biodiversity projects and carbon projects. Biodiversity, I will relate it to conservation projects. You may have unique species, could be animals, could be birds, could be different species that you're protecting in this area, you're conserving. And then for carbon projects, they are different. They are different sectors. Could be agroforestry, could be REDD+ projects. It could be the energy projects, renewable energy, could be waste management and transport. All these are carbon projects. So biodiversity is more specific, but carbon could be quite wide. And then the difference between the standard, like BioCarbon Standard and EcoSecurities. BioCarbon Standard will provide the methodologies and the standard, and also the guidance to the project developers. In this case, is EcoSecurities who develop the projects in different aspects. Could be supporting the project, could be from the start. And then we provide, as a standard, we provide this process, what you have to follow, looking at the methodology, what you need to achieve from the project document, and also the guidance on after the project document. You have to do validation and verification so that we issue the carbon credits for your project. This is our main goal as a standard, to issue carbon credits for your project. So the difference, the EcoSecurities is on the project development side, and then the standard, we provide these guidelines to and issue the carbon credits for your project. Maybe.
All right, thank you very much. I think the last question here, I will direct it to Moses, and in light of what Kabaka has just mentioned, that for project developers, we are here to implement the rules and guidelines that are set by the registry and the standards. So in the work that EcoSecurities is doing in Africa on matters of carbon, either from land-based or energy projects, what are some of the key steps of registering a carbon project from land-based sector, and some of the due diligence parameters that a project must check for it to be compliant and accepted by the registry as a validated project? Moses.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for that question, and Kabaka for the explanation on the difference between a standard and an organization such as EcoSecurities. So when we start the development of a carbon project, the first step that we usually do is conducting feasibility, where we try to determine whether this project is viable from a technical side, as well as from a financial perspective. And some of the issues that we usually look at is the standard which is the most appropriate for the development of that particular project, and specifically some of the criteria that we have to look at. We have to look at the methodology. How is the project aligned with that methodology which has been selected? And does the project meet the eligibility requirements for that methodology as well as the standard? And some of the other issues which we have to look at is the approaches, for instance, to the additionality assessment, where we conduct more of a rigorous assessment of the project on whether it's additional or not. So those are some of the parameters that we have to look at, and also ensuring that the project is transparent, it has got high integrity, it's able to generate real and verifiable carbon credits. So once you go through all these different steps, the project is finally registered through the standard, which is more of a gateway to accessing carbon markets. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Thank you, Moses. And I think before we wind up the session, you have spoken about the various steps of due diligence and project registration all the way to issuance. But I also understand that time is of great importance, and I just wanted to get a quick answer from BioCarbon team. Maybe Paloma or Kabaka, you can go first and just tell us, how long does it take from the beginning to the end for credits to be, for a project to be registered and issues to be and credits to be issued under BioCarbon standards?
Maybe I can answer that. Under BioCarbon standard, the first stage is for the project developer to prepare the project design document. And to prepare this document, you need the methodology, you need BCR standard, and also our tools and safeguards to guide you in preparing the project design document. And this takes average 2 to 6 months, depending on the speed of the project developer. Then after that, there is validation and verification. So this estimate to be about 2 months. And then after that, from our technical team, we can do 1 month or less than 1 month to review all your documents. And then once you address the comments, and then from that, we have 1 month or 30 days of public consultation once all your documents are ready, and then we will issue the carbon credits. So I will average 8 months to 1 year. So in less than 1 year, you can have the carbon credits on the market.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your input, especially the speakers as well as the participants for today. just to let you know that this webinar was streamed live via LinkedIn and BioCarbon YouTube channel, and it will be posted there after this session. So if you have further follow-up questions, our emails are running at the bottom of the screen. You can reach out to Kabaka Mutensa or myself, and we shall be more than glad to support you with any further inquiries, especially if you have your project in Africa. So from our side is a goodbye, and we look forward to engaging further with all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you again. Thank you.